Just because you're not a bigot doesn't mean you aren't a bigot. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and there's been this completely annoying trope floating around social justice land for the past number of years that I want to put an end to. If I can. I probably can't, but I'm gonna try. Basically, what happens is that somebody tells an SJW that they aren't a bigot. You say, hey, I'm not racist. And the SJW says, I don't believe you, because, of course, they disagreed with them about something, basically anything. So the SJW doesn't believe that you aren't racist because, according to SJWs, the only reason you'll ever disagree with them is if you're racist or sexist or transphobic. Sometimes homophobic, but usually it's just those three ones. At this point, obviously, the person defending their non-bigotry is basically in a witch hunt situation, and of course, then they have to provide evidence as to why they aren't a bigot, which is generally almost impossible, of course, so the person being accused of being a bigot will say any number of things to defend themselves. If they are new to dealing with SJWs, they might say, I don't see race, which is an automatic no-no in SJW land, and further proves in the head of the SJW that the person saying this must be racist, because the SJW assumes that if somebody pretends to be colorblind, that they are ignoring the differences between racial groups. And that is a slightly good point, because everybody can see skin colors and hair differences. Still, the non-SJW simply meant usually that they would avoid seeing skin color as their primary judgment of somebody's character, which is not a bad thing to say. Similarly, a person who's not an SJW might say, I am not a misogynist, I love my mother and have always respected her. But again, this falls on deaf ears, because these people want to believe that basically anybody can still be a misogynist no matter how much they have love for women. And maybe their mother doesn't count as a real woman to these people. Not really. I'm just kidding, mostly. I think it's more like the fact that feminists think that all people who don't believe in smashing the patriarchy and replacing it with a matriarchy must be a misogynist, because clearly the last great matriarchal civilization in recorded history was much better than Western civilization. Because even though there isn't any great matriarchal societies in recorded history, I'm pretty sure feminists think that anything would be better than the West. Finally, the person who is a non-SJW makes the biggest mistake of all, which is saying that they aren't racist or transphobic because they have numerous friends that are racial minorities or transgender. Oh boy, facepalm. How could somebody ever believe that having black friends might mean that they don't hate black people? How could somebody ever be so stupid to believe that if they are comfortable enough around trans people, that they are actually friends with some, that they might actually not be totally wanting to oppress them? Saying you aren't prejudiced against your friends is a big, sweeping no-no in SJW land. How dare these people even mention it? According to fourth wave intersectional feminist social justice warriors, simply not hating groups of people based on their identity actually proves that they probably do hate members of that identity. And just as long as you're actually friends with some of these people of that identity, and you are so stupid as to say so. I think the wokest of woke SJWs aren't even friends with any minorities of any type. Or at least, they'd certainly never talk about it. I'm sure Lindy West never mentions the fact that her husband is black. Regardless, they will tell you in so many words something to the effect of, just because you aren't racist or transphobic doesn't mean that you aren't racist or transphobic. It's rather silly, truthfully, but you have to keep in mind that these people will never consider everybody neither racist or transphobic, unless you bow down to the actual ideology of fourth wave intersectional feminism, and even if you do, you'll never be good enough, because they always will eventually fight with each other in the end. Anything you can use as justification to prove that you aren't a bigot will just turn these people against you. they'll use it to throw in your face. If you say you dated a trans woman, they'll say you're objectifying her as a gender minority. If you say you dated a racial minority, they'll say you racially sexualized them. There's no way to be non-bigoted, according to these people. Besides that, you can call other people bigots all the time, and for a moment you might be safe. Until starving piranha syndrome kicks in. Drop me a comment and stay tuned.